In this problem, we will answer a few questions about a frequency polygon. Take a moment to pause the video to read the problem statement and the questions that are presented so far. So one of the things I want to do is view this frequency polygon. I'm going to kind of move it to the side. One of the things I will be covering is the piece about lower and upper class limits being whole numbers. So just keep that in mind as we work through this problem. So we're asked, what's the class width? One way that we can determine that is to find the distance between midpoints of class intervals, or of each class. So from 5 to 15 is a distance of 10. That's the class width. Technically speaking, though, the class width is the distance between the lower and upper limits. Well, these points along the frequency polygon are actually midpoints. So the first limit, lower limit, is halfway between -5 and 5. So at this point is a value of 0. And then between these two midpoints, 5 and 15, is the upper limit up to 10. So from 0 to 10 is a distance of 10. Now notice that I said that includes 0, but it's up to 10. We're going to come back to that in just a minute. For the next question, it asks, there are 10 classes represented in the graph, or how many classes? For this, you would just count the number of midpoints, keeping in mind that a frequency polygon connects those midpoints back to the x-axis on both ends. So do not include these 2 points, the beginning point and the ending point. And you'll find that you have a total of 10 points in between those two. What is the midpoint of the first class? And what are the lower and upper limits of the first class? Well, the first class then is the first non-zero frequency. So that one would be here. And its midpoint is 5. But its lower and upper limits, remember, goes from 0, including 0, but up to 10. So I'm going to put here 0, but remember these have to be whole numbers. So the upper limit does not contain 10, it just goes up to 10. And so the next lowest whole number, or previous whole number from 10, would have to be 9. So the lower and upper limits go from 0 to the whole number 9. Now if I were to allow, say, to the 10th place, I would put here 9.9. And if I were to express this in a true interval fashion or with an inequality, I would say anything less than 10, but not less than or equal to 10. So here in part C, it asks what's the midpoint of the next to last class. So remember, this is just the endpoint of the polygon itself. This is the last midpoint. This is the next to last midpoint. So that's at 85. And its lower and upper limits are between 75 and 85, which would be 80, and including 80. We always include the lower limit, and then up to 90. But again, because I can't include 90, I'm going to say 89. And then this next one, which age group has the highest population? Well, I can look for the highest point on the graph, and that happens here with the midpoint of 45. Now the midpoint is 45, so the age group ranges from 40 to 49, including 40 and through 49, or you could say up to 50. For the next one, which age group has the lowest population? So that's going to be the lowest point on the graph that's not 0, and that would be this point. 95 is the midpoint. So from 90 to 99. And then the last one, I think this is the last question, which age group has 47 million? So I'm going to look at the frequency in millions and go for 47. That's pretty close to 48 here, and look across. And notice that happens to be the exact same age group that we were pointing out earlier. So that's 40 to 49. And that was all the questions within this particular problem.